Welcome back. So Capitals, your logo's ridiculous. So yeah, I think that's the farthest off the board any of the logos have gotten. So it's kind of ridiculous. The other thing with the Capitals that's weird is there really haven't been any changes. The one significant change was that Vanacek was taken by Seattle, but then Seattle picked up Grubauer. So they traded Vanacek back to the Capitals. And of course, Lundqvist retires, but he didn't play a game for Washington. So does that count as an exit? And basically, the exits, there's, this team has stayed pretty much the same. I will say this, you'll have a familiarity. They should get off to a fast start. They should look pretty good right out of the gate because these guys know each other. Right? There hasn't been any really substantial change made. So, yeah. And when you look at the numbers, overall, they're pretty good. Their special teams were excellent last season. Their power play, 24.8%, which was third. Their penalty kill, 84% even, which was fifth overall in the National Hockey League. Their goals for, 188, which was fifth. Goals against, 161, which was 17th. So, I mean, the goals against is a little bit high, but all the other numbers are good. And I expect this team to be pretty darn good. The interesting thing is that Pittsburgh and Washington, if things turn out the way that I'm calling the division, Pittsburgh and Washington will play each other in the first round, which might be the best cure for what's ailing both franchises right now, where they just haven't been able to get anything done come playoff time, though they're very good during the regular season. So we'll take a look at their notable draft picks since 2015, keeping in mind that they haven't been in a position to take a top 10 draft pick in quite some time. Samsonov was their number 22 pick in 2015. Has worked out pretty well thus far. A lot of pressure on Samsonov this year, I think, but we'll see how things go. 2016, they took Johansson, who, through injuries and other setbacks, has not yet made an NHL debut, and may not. At least I don't think he's played... Maybe he's played a game or two in the NHL. He's never broken through, though. And then Pilon was drafted at 87th. 2017, their first pick was at 120th, and they only had 4 picks that season. 2018, they drafted Alexiev at 31. Fehervari at 46th. 2019, they drafted Connor McMichael at 25th, and he might be the most important addition to the team this year, as long as he gets into that lineup right out of training camp. Leeson drafted at 56, but they only had 4 picks in that draft as well. They had 5 picks in 2020, where they drafted Lapierre at 20th in the first round. And this draft, their first pick was 55th. They did have 6 picks in this draft, but their first pick was at 55th. So they're not shy about trading their first if they feel like they're close. They are... really relying on a lot of veteran presence in this lineup. This is a very veteran lineup. Exits, Dillon, Chara, Raffle, I guess. New faces. McElrath, is that the only one? Like, it's really odd to me that there really hasn't been... This has been a crazy offseason, and not for Washington. They don't have to make up new jerseys. If their jerseys left from last year were all spick and span and good to go, you don't have to worry about, unless everybody changes their number, which would be kind of a prick move. So I don't think they're going to do it. But yeah, so the Capitals, they clearly still think they're close. Now, the big thing in the offseason was getting Ovechkin re-signed, right? And they got that done. And, of course, they got Backstrom to that monster contract, too. The funny thing is that I've been doing these previews, and somebody commented on last season's preview a couple days ago, getting mad at me because I said that Ovechkin wasn't signed yet, which he wasn't a year ago, because I'm not psychic. I don't have clairvoyance. At some point, I'll do a clairvoyance type video again, probably before the season starts. But, yeah. I can understand why you would watch a preview of last year's Capitals and be confused and think it's this year's Capitals, because nothing really significant has changed in the lineup. So the last 3 seasons, 2018-2019, they finished 48, 26, and 8, first in the Metro Division. They lost in the first round against Carolina. 2019-2020, 41-20-8, first in the Metro Division. They lost in the first round against the New York Islanders. 2020-2021, in the Eastern Division, they finished 36-15-5. Great regular season in a very tough division, and they lost in the first round against the Bruins. I am picking them to finish first in the Metro. Because, sure. Because, again, they haven't really changed until we see some kind of an erosion in the games of both Backstrom and Ovechkin. They have to be a playoff team. And so I thought, I'll take them to finish first in the Metro yet again. And the playoffs are a whole different beast. So, Pittsburgh and the Capitals are kind of in a similar spot. So the forward group is as follows. Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, veteran presence, all three players still here. Mantha, relatively newish player to the team, of course. Came over at the deadline from Detroit. It'll be interesting to see how he does in a full season in Washington. It was a good pickup out of the gate. Kuznetsov, Wilson. What will Tom Wilson do? How many people will he make angry this year? These are questions that we'll have answered probably pretty soon. Sherry, Eller, Sprong. Sprong showed last year that if he needs to jump into a top 6 role as a goal scorer, he can do that. Scored pretty well. Hagelin, Dowd, Hathaway. I've always liked Hathaway. Still like Hathaway. Which leaves Scarboza, Pino, Pilon, McMichael, and Gersich there. Now, McMichael's the interesting one of those other players because McMichael only got into one game last year. And I really think that they need to get McMichael into this lineup. And, as long as he's ready, and that's the key qualifier, as long as he's ready, get him in the lineup and see what kind of energy that can give them, what kind of a new energy they can get. The one thing with the Capitals has been motivation. And against Boston, it just wasn't there. You could see Ovechkin being frustrated. But the previous year in the bubble, there were a lot of discussions about whether or not they took that seriously and whether or not they played all that hard in the bubble at all. And they were out very quickly. So they have definitely had some accusations of character being a problem, and we'll see how things go. And if adding a young kid like McMichael into this lineup might get that energy level going, because they need to win in the playoffs. On the blue line, you've got Orlov, you've got Carlson, you've got Kempny, you've got Schultz. They do lose something by not having Dylan and Chara, but they do have the depth. Van Riemsdyk, Jensen, Irwin. As I said, McElrath gets picked up. I think Irwin's a new face as well. Fehervari might earn himself a spot in the regular lineup. And I put Johansson up here because why not? Sure. I'll put Johansson on the board. I don't think he makes the team either, but sure, why not? Goaltenders, usual suspects. Samsonov, Vanacek, a new face from Seattle. He didn't allow a goal in Seattle either. And Phoenix Copley is there's the number 3. And while Vanacek was in Seattle, he was probably like, hey, maybe I've got a shot at, and Vanacek's back. So the prospects, Brett Leeson is there. He may end up getting in this year at some point. Alexander Alexiev and Hendrix Lapierre. And Hendrix Lapierre is a fascinating prospect for the Washington Capitals. He's got that boomer bust tag on him. But when you're drafting at 20th, that's kind of what you're getting. You're getting a player who might end up being a huge acquisition for your team, and he may end up being a guy who busts. But we'll see what happens with Lapierre, and we'll see who ends up in this lineup. I'm surprised there wasn't more turnover. I'm surprised there wasn't more change. Because after the third straight year of losing in the first round, you would think there would be some energy put towards fixing what's gone wrong against Carolina, the Islanders, and Boston. Unless you're the general manager and you say, I still think we've got the right mix, we've got the right guys. The question mark, too, is Kuznetsov, in that they haven't been actively shopping Kuznetsov, but they haven't denied that if they get a chance to improve the team with a trade of Kuznetsov, they'll look at it. And so far, that hasn't come to fruition. I think we're close enough to training camp that I'll wager or guess that he's not getting traded during this offseason. But if he gets off to a slow start, if the team gets off to a slow start, he might be one to watch. So their cup odds currently are 25-1, which I think are conservative. I do. I think that's a pretty conservative ranking for them, and I thought they would have better odds of winning a Stanley Cup than what they do. And I think the 3 straight first round losses might have people thinking, nah, I'm not really all that keen on the Caps this year. Their last Stanley Cup was their first Stanley Cup. That was in 2018, and since then they haven't won a round. And again, my prediction's first in the Metro. So what does their schedule look like out of the gate? I'm glad you asked. They're at home against the Rangers on the 13th. Then they have 2 days off before they're at home against Tampa. They have another 2 days off before they're at home against Carolina or against Colorado. So they have 3 games in their first week, and it's a pretty nicely spread out schedule. And with the Rangers, Tampa, and Colorado, those are tough teams, but with the time in between, we'll see how they do. Then they go to New Jersey for the game on the 21st, and then they come back home on the 23rd and play Calgary before going on the road, playing in Ottawa on the 25th, and then they come back home on the 27th to play Detroit, the 29th to play Arizona. It's not a hard schedule, and this is where they're going to want to get that record up there and start pegging off wins, because it will get difficult. Every team this year has a nightmare stretch. For Washington, it's not in October, so they're going to want to add on some wins, tack on some wins, and go from there. I do like the team as a regular season. First place, sure. First place in Metro, absolutely. Playoff time, I haven't got any inkling of how they do or don't do. I've taken Tampa as the team I think wins the Stanley Cup. I haven't gone any further than that. I've just said, yeah, I'll take Tampa. That's it. Washington is very unpredictable. Despite the 3 first-round losses in a row, at some point, Ovechkin's got to go on another run. He has to. And while there's going to be a lot of looking at every single goal he gets and how much closer that gets him to Gretzky, and if you're tired of hearing about Ovechkin, Gretzky, this year's going to be rough. In fact, the next few years are probably going to be rough, because as he gets the goals and gets closer, it's going to become more and more prominent of a discussion. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.